Hello and welcome to the video, my first video for December 2020. As you can see, I have the Christmas jumper on. I haven't got the Santa hat yet. I'm sure that will come later in the month. This is all about giving you some ideas for festive presents, either if you have loved ones who are into radio control, or if you're into radio control yourself like me and somebody asks you what you'd like as a present. It's some ideas. There's a very big scale in here, all kinds of things, from things that cost very little money, some things that cost nothing, right the way up to things that cost a lot of money indeed. For example, my friend, I've just found out, is going to be getting the DJI goggles for his Christmas present, and that is big news for me. That means for me and him, going out and flying the DJI stuff together in HD is going to be an epic way to spend the first part of 2021. But it doesn't have to be about that amount of money. 2020 for lots of people has been a particularly tough year financially, or emotionally, or both. So stay with it. I'll put links down below for everything I'm going to talk about. Hopefully by the end of this, you might have a couple of ideas that if you do fancy treating yourself, or you need an idea to give a loved one for what you'd like for Christmas, then hopefully this will help. So let's talk about models first. There are an awful lot of really good choices kicking about. A lot of the Me Too stuff that happened, particularly for multi-rotors, has kind of gone away. So any one of the tiny whoops that's kicking around, this happens to be the Beta FPV 85X, I think it is a 4S capable super whoop. But you know what? Check out my sub 250 reviews. All of the whoops are in there. This is a spectacular way. Maybe not this one. There's things like the Emax Baby Hawks and stuff. There's loads of options to get an indoor flyer. I'm yet to fly this as I'm recording this video. Stay tuned for the full review. This one is one that I've been interested in because it kind of is a bit of a hybrid between whoops and more rounded, larger models. And there's an awful lot of choice for quadcopters if you want to go out and fly. So if you're interested in 5, 6, 7-inch quads, there's unfortunately not as many kits around to build your own, but it's relatively easy and straightforward to get all the parts and build it. And that's something that I was thinking for a friend of mine, was actually get him a flight controller, video transmitter, camera, so that when he comes to do his next build, that stuff is already sat in the spares bin. It's just a case of finding him something to put all that stuff on. My favourite quads, this happens to be the HGLRC, their latest racing quad. Again, reviews of this will be coming shortly, but I really like the HGLRC stuff. The GEP or GEP-RC stuff's really good. I love the Holybro Coppice things. I liked the GEP-RC Crocodile Baby. Other versions of that are available. I think it was called the Flywheel Explorer. People really like that as well. So there's loads and loads of options. Again, check out the reviews in case something catches your eye. But if you kind of stay with people like GEP-RC, HGLRC, people like Holybro and Armatan, you know what? You can't really go wrong. I've not yet, touch wood, found a dud from those vendors. In terms of wings, tons and tons of choice. Again, if you're looking for a next platform to build, then maybe get a wing in now. My recommendation right now, as of the 1st December, is going to be get yourself one of the AR Wing Pros. Really versatile wing, very efficient, tons of room for all your technology, and you potentially can fly for an hour or so. You can put your DJI system in it, your Fat Shark system in it, analog FPV, iNav, no iNav, whatever you want. So check out my videos on that. That's probably my top choice, but there's loads of really good choices from Sonic Models, ZOHD, Hobby King have some lovely videos. Again, check out my fixed wing reviews in case something in there catches your eye. In terms of kit, 2020 has been a pretty good year. The radio that I'm recommending at the moment is the Radiomaster TX16S, although the TX12 is coming out now. The TX12 is a smaller version, which is perfect for children or maybe people that don't have as big a hands or pinchers. I know for some people things like the TX16S from Radiomaster is not great for pinchers. Those are great secondary radios. I would be tempted to buy one of those even if your trusty Taranis is still working, and then copy all the models across and clone the Taranis onto that other radio. If then your Taranis ever bites the dust, you can just move across the new radio. I've got mine sat behind me. You can't actually see it's behind the chair. That's waiting for that to happen. Although, to be honest, I'm kind of flying more and more with the Radio Master, and the Tyrannus is getting used less and less. Now, the other option, of course, as I said at the beginning, is a really cute thing to do is to ask for your new flight controller, your new video transmitter, camera, all those pieces that you normally put inside a model, and kind of spread that around, with a camera costing 20 or 30 pounds, a flight controller costing 30, 40 or 50 pounds, video transmitter costing anything between 25 to 45 pounds. Those are chunky little things that friends or family could get you, and if you get all that pieces together, again, you can just sit them in the spares bin waiting to go into your next build. If you have fat shark goggles and you're not using something like the Immersion RC system, the Rapid Fire, or the Fusion from TBS, or the True DX system, it's the other one, which is the Modern Diversity, which isn't choosing one or the other antenna, it's actually using both all the time to recreate the image on the fly, then it's worthwhile doing the upgrade. I have found, after flying Rapid Fire and Fusion now for probably the best part of about a year, I would never ever go back to a normal system. I can see things in my goggles when other pilots who are not using the advanced diversity systems are getting breakup and struggling. My system is really good. Similarly, with those kind of things, if you want to treat yourself, obviously Menace RC do the antenna packs. The Menace RC antennas can make a difference, particularly if you have exposed elements that have got bent out of the way. As soon as those exposed elements get bent, the effectiveness of the antenna starts to drop away. And the cool thing is, with the pagoda style antennas that Menace RC do, they are pretty bulletproof. And they also have the aero pod as well, so if you're looking to get a wing, get an aero pod, and you can mount it underneath like I have on lots of my different models. There's loads of the new 2.4 gig radio systems to get into. There's the one from Immersion RC, the Ghost. There is the one from Team Black Sheep, which is called the Tracer, and there's the RM302, a slightly less catchy name, from FlySky. All of those are now supported in OpenTX, and they provide latest generation 2.4 connectivity to either end. Personally, my choice is the Team Black Sheep one. I like Team Black Sheep stuff. I'm a Crossfire pilot, so it looks, feels and smells very much like that to me. Full telemetry back down to the radio as well is kind of a bit of a must for me, particularly flying iNav. I like to have the iNav bits and pieces running on the radio and the alerts letting me know if I'm doing something a bit stupid. Another option is get something like this backpack. Now, I have been using, until I got this, a regular old kind of 20-litre backpack, a Berghaus thing, and my wife made a bag to put everything on the back of, and it was fine, but actually something like this that has the compartments and is designed to kind of hang your models off is brilliant if you just want to load everything into here with your spare batteries, your goggles, everything else, and just disappear off and go and have a couple of hours flying away from your regular stuff. Really, really comfortable, and they're coming down in price. When this stuff first came out, I wasn't interested in getting one. This is an awful lot cheaper, and again, links down below if you're interested, but this is quite a cool thing. It also means that you can keep all of the stuff together, your radio, goggles and stuff, safe in this when you're not using them, so they're not kind of hanging around potentially where you're going to drop your soldering iron on them. The other option is ask for a set of glues and tapes. Hopefully they won't think you're abusing the stuff. Some of the favourite ones that I'm currently using at the moment. This is the Gorilla Glue Clear. This is what I used to build my E-Wings Black Hawk. And then I had things like this. This is what I use on a regular basis. This is the Hobby King Foam Cure Glue. This is relatively cheap and cheerful. If you're ordering anything from Hobby King and you haven't got some of this hanging around, order it. It comes in amazingly handy and it's quite a strong bond. And then things like E6000, don't get the extra one, which is the low odor. It might not smell as much, but I don't think it's as sticky. And then obviously things like your blend tape, get yourself a new roll of that. That's particularly handy when you're making hinges. Again, not particularly sexy, exciting presents for Christmas presents, but you know what? They are worth their weight in gold when you need them, and it means that the repairs, particularly for foam fixed wing models, are a lot easier to do with that kind of stuff sat waiting on your bench. And then the last idea is a 3D printer. Now, fortunately, Hobby King have stopped making the Fabricator 2, which is a bit of a shame. A 3D printer is a fantastic way to add an extra element into the hobby. An awful lot of stuff these days that you tend to find on quads tend to be 3D printed anyway. I'm not sure if the camera's going to kind of show that. It's kind of becoming a regular way. Being able to print your own spares and parts, camera holders, adapters, plates, spacers, all that kind of stuff is dead easy if you have a 3D printer. Again, check my 3D printing for radio control series to find out a little bit more. The trick these days is just to get one that'll fit on wherever you the space that you have. But for a couple of £100 now, you can get an absolutely belting printer that will really revolutionize the way that you do the work, particularly at the moment if you're spending time whittling bits of balsa wood to try and make a thing to hold a camera, or you're gluing bits, lollipop sticks together to try and do. You know what? I was there. Now I've got a 3D printer. I very rarely go that route. I'll just design it on the computer or find one that already exists on places like Thingiverse and just print the thing out. Next one is test equipment. Again, not a particularly sexy list, but you know what? Lots of pilots that I talk to that are troubleshooting don't have a lot of this stuff, and because of that, get really stuck because they can't do some basic testing. The first thing is a 5-volt battery eliminator circuit or some kind of power supply for the bench. Allows you to plug a battery in one side, put 5 volts out the other. It's brilliant for doing things like binding your receiver to the radio before you plug it all together, or maybe powering something like a servo checker, which is also another great idea. You can make sure that your servos are centered and the servos are happy before you go to the trouble of installing them into wherever they need to be. It's amazing how often you'll get a servo that actually isn't completely happy, particularly if it's from one of the cheaper manufacturers. And I had this recently with building the Black Hawk again. When I'm ordering cheap servos and I only need 2, I'll order 3. Because Sod's Law says that one of the 2 that I ordered will be broke. I've got a really good chance of having 2 good ones out of the 3, and the way to test that is using a servo checker. The big thing that I would recommend that you get if you haven't got it already is a multimeter. They're relatively cheap and inexpensive, and they will allow you to do all the troubleshooting and also check with things like putting them on the main power supply before you connect it for the first time that the magic smoke isn't going to come out. You will wonder how you managed without one once you've got it. And relatively cheap piece of kit now, £20–30 will get you a multimeter that will do the basics and get you going. Another nice one is an FPV screen. I have this one from my Fat Shark Transformer goggles that's always sat on the bench. But I'll put a link down below to one of the latest sets of goggles from eSheen. They're some of the real cheap and cheerful goggles, but again, the screen is removable at the end. That means that when you're not using it as an FPV goggle screen, you can just have it on your bench. Really good for doing things like moving your on-screen display stuff around, doing things like playing with the camera to set whether it's PAL or NTSC. All that kind of stuff is really good if you have a little FPV screen on the bench. Saves you constantly kind of pulling the goggles down to try and figure it out. If you don't do lots of building, probably less of interest to you. But if you're like me and you're constantly playing around with FPV stuff, being able to have the screen and just look at it on the bench as you're playing is fantastic. The other thing that I've had to do this year is revisit lamination. And I'm actually probably happier about it this time than I've ever been. I got a new laminating iron and the 75 micron. I've got a whole new roll of it. It's relatively inexpensive, something like 30 meters or something crazy was about £20. So it's not expensive, and putting it on top of foam models will dramatically increase their ability to survive bumps and scrapes. I don't mind it on light coloured wings. I'm just not a fan of it on grey and particularly black foam. I don't think it looks great. But lamination is something that if you haven't had a go of, or you used to do it a long time ago with things like monocoat with an iron and stuff, it's worthwhile getting it and having a play on one of your older models, particularly things like leading edges. It can really help those models when it bounces into something survive it without deforming the foam and causing you more problems. Last couple of things, I definitely get yourself a new soldering iron if you've got a really old crappy one where the tip's all black. Being able to solder well is just as much about the flux solder that you use. Ideally use solder that has lead in it. It's harder to get these days, but it flows better and does a better job in my humble opinion. And then having a soldering iron with a nice clean tip. Now you don't have to go as mad as this. This is my Weller soldering station. This replaced my other one that had been going for the best part of 30 years before it eventually gave up the ghost. It has interchangeable tips, and this is the one that I use on a daily basis. Doesn't have to be that expensive, but having a decent quality iron will make it an awful lot easier to get the soldering looking like you see it in my videos and other places as well, where it all looks beautiful and shiny. But again, that's just as much to do with your technique and the iron as it is to making sure you have the proper lead-based solder as well. Last two things. This thing here is the Toolkit RC M8S. It is a fantastic tool. I use it all the time. It allows you to do things like see what signals are coming out your receiver. It allows you to do basic charging if you really want to, although I very rarely do it for that. You can use it as a power meter, a PWM, a servo checker. In this one little device, it is brilliant. If you haven't got one, get one, and when you need it, again, it's one of those things that's worth in weight. It's gold. And last thing, of course, is the smoke stopper. There's loads of them kicking about. This happens to be the one that's on the bench at the moment for me. This is the Vi-Fly version. If you're really not sure about whether or not everything's going to be fine when you plug it in for the first time, having a smoke stopper can just provide that extra level of protection. But as I say in my videos, having a smoke stopper isn't a replacement for doing a good visual check and making sure that the resistance on the pins that go into your power distribution board or your flight controller isn't a dead short. You need to do those things first. A smoke stopper, in my opinion, is just an extra level of protection. Now for the last slide, I need to say a very big thank you to a Patreon of mine. Was a Fisherman FPV made this comment when I was talking to this video to the Patreons, and it is such a good idea. As pilots, we also not only have the ability at Christmas to ask for things that we're interested in, we also have the ability to offer things out that we know that other people would enjoy. And that might be a supported flying session or some tuition on fixed wing, on flying multi-rotor freestyle. It might be giving an FPV experience to a line of sight pilot in a supported way. There's loads of different things that you could give a voucher, just even handwritten or printed on your printer, and put that in a Christmas card. That is a really great idea of something you can offer somebody else who may be showing an interest in what you're doing. And that, again, apart from the time it takes for you to take them to the field and have fun with them, also may introduce them to another part of the hobby. And the other option is a get out of jail free card, some kind of little card that you can give to people who are newer into the hobby, which is kind of their ability to call you and get you involved and ask for help, just so they don't feel like they're on their own and they've got to figure out all of it. Now, most of that stuff might be stuff that you were already doing, but doing it in that way may be an easier way for them to feel happy about coming and asking you about either helping with a particular part of the hobby in their flying or flight controllers, or setting up iNav, or binding their radio, or flying FPV, or landing with FPV. It could be a million different things, but a really nice thought from Was a Fisherman FPV, and that's something that potentially I'll be doing this Christmas as well. So thank you for sticking with it. We've been going for about 20 minutes now. Hopefully that's given you some ideas of festive presents that you could either have for yourself or potentially get for fellow pilots who you know, or prospective fellow pilots that you know, to help them get into the hobby. Have a fantastic December. Stay tuned to the channel. There'll be usual how-to reviews and setup videos coming over the next couple of weeks, and then hopefully I'll be able to do something a little bit cool again this year over the Christmas time period. Thank you for watching my video and watching right to the very end. If you want to find out what I'm currently working on, you can follow me on social media by searching for Painless360 in the usual places. If you'd like to become part of the inner circle, then you can become a Patreon. Details are in the description and you get lots of additional benefits. Check out the playlist section on the channel too. I organise all of my videos into playlists, and it's called something like Introduction to, or for beginners. All of the content is aimed so that you can start at the very beginning, and it teaches you that subject, starting with simple principles and moving up to teach you everything you need to know.